How's it going today, guys? This is Dan with another Tech Tip Tuesday. And today, we are going to be discussing 5 things that are easily overlooked and you should check when purchasing a used boat and motor. So let's get started. Now, the first thing you're going to want to check is the type of motor or engine that's on the back of the boat you're looking at purchasing. You're going to want to check, is this engine something that, was there a lot of them made? Is there a lot of them out there still? And is there a lot of known issues? For instance, this Fictoram injection is known to have odd electrical issues, and there's not a whole lot of dealers that work on these motors anymore. A lot of them won't. So a good thing to do is to call your dealer that you would like to use to service your new motor and ask them, is that something that you guys are willing to work on? The second thing you're going to want to check, kind of in relation to the first, is part availability for not only the motor, but the boat, as well as the electronics and controls. So speaking of the motor in specifically, you might want to go ahead, go online. Marineengine.com is a great place for the general public to order boat motor parts. Simply type in the serial number that's on it. It'll pull up a list of them, and you can see our common parts like spark plugs, water pumps, fuel filters, things like that readily available. And if so, are there aftermarket options as well? It'll get you a good idea if parts are going to be available for the long term for your new motor. Now, the third thing you're going to want to take a look at, very important, is the transom and the splash well area where the motor bolts to the boat. You're going to want to be checking for things like stress cracking in both aluminum and fiberglass. So a common place is in the back of the splash well, along the top caps, and where it mounts to the boat if there's cracking. Another place to check is, does it look like the bolts that bolt the motor to the back of the boat are crushing in? And is there a big gap in there? That's a sign that the wood or material inside that transom is getting soft and starting to crush. Another thing you can do, a quick check, is with the motor trimmed up, tilted in the up position, just push on the prop area and see if that motor has a lot of flex going down when you do that. If it does, that's a good thing to look at to stay away from purchasing that particular boat. A transom can be replaced, but it can get very, very expensive in a hurry. The fourth thing you're going to want to take a look at is the hull, or the underside of the boat. You're going to be looking for obvious signs of impact, something that hit the bottom of the boat. Look to see if it looks like it was pulled up on concrete a lot. Is the keel or the center of the boat really worn down, or does it look to be in pretty good shape? It'll give you a general idea on how the previous owner took care of it and how much they cared. A big reason to take a look at this is last season I actually had a customer bring a boat in that he just purchased and said that it had a slight water leak. Upon inspection, I found a 12 by 12 piece of aluminum that was welded to the hull, covering a giant hole that I could see from the inside after I removed the floor. It looked like a possible log or a stump of some sort came up through the bottom of the boat. Unfortunately, that boat was no longer safe to operate, and it was junk. So it was a bad day for that customer. I felt real bad for him. All right, so the fifth and final thing that you're going to want to take a look at is going to be the floor inside the boat. So you're going to want to walk around, especially on the front deck area, and kind of bounce around a little bit or along the edges and see if you feel a lot of flex in that floor. If you do, that's a good indicator of 2 things. First thing is obviously the floor is starting to get rotten, especially in an aluminum boat that can be replaced. But again, it's fairly expensive. It's a lot of work pulling a floor up and cutting a new one. The second thing that this will also tell you is how well the boat was taken care of. A lot of times when someone goes to sell something, they'll spend time cleaning it and make it look like it's been well taken care of. When in reality, it might have spent a lot of time outside with water in it, no cover on it. And a soft or rotten floor will give you a good indicator that this boat may or may not, or the boat you're looking at, may or may not have been taken care of in the best possible way. Might be a reason to stay away from that one. All right, everybody, so I hope you found these 5 tips useful. If you're looking at purchasing a used boat for yourself. Going over again, the first thing being the type of engine that's on the back of the boat. Second thing is going to be the part availability for the boat and the motor. Third thing being transom condition, making sure that transom is good and strong and the motor's not going to fall off the back. Fourth thing being the hull, making sure there's no large damages to the bottom of the hull or something to be concerned about there. And the fifth thing being the condition of the floor itself, making sure it's not soft and is in good condition. There's obviously several other things to look at. You're going to want to hear the motor run, flip on all the switches, make sure everything's working. But these are 5 things that I see come through my shop that are easily overlooked or missed when someone purchases a new motor and boat that could save you a whole lot of time and headache. So until next Tuesday, you guys have a good one.